trophée Copa est remis à Jude Bellingham.
Nobody thought when Jude Bellingham joined Real Madrid in the summer of 2023 that he would become the best player in the world overnight. But he did. And this is how it happened. This is where Jude Bellingham came from. When Borussia Dortmund signed him as a 17-year-old in 2020, Birmingham City, his club since the age of 7, announced that they would be retiring his number 22 shirt. It made the club and player objects of derision. The 22 shirt has become synonymous with Jude, Birmingham wrote in their official statement. And as such, the club have decided it would be fitting to retire this number, to remember one of our own and to inspire others. Bellingham belonged to them. 20 miles from Birmingham, in Stourbridge, had been his birthplace, and the number itself held special meaning. As a youngster, Bellingham had been challenged to become the complete midfielder by one of his first coach, that is, part no. 4, part no. 8, part no. 10. When combined, that gave him the shirt number 22, which he would wear for England and Birmingham City before moving on to Dortmund. Birmingham's decision to retire that shirt becomes less absurd after 3 years. At the age of 17, he made his first journey to Germany in 2020, at a time when Dortmund was going through a transformation. He mostly featured in a midfield too with Thomas Delaney during his rookie campaign, with Erling Haaland up front and Marco Reus, Giovanni Reina and Jadon Sancho in front of him. After Sancho was sold, Julian Brandt and Thorgan Hazard were frequently chosen in 4-2-3-1 wide positions ahead of him, with Mahmoud Dahoud or Axel Witsel positioned in deep midfield next to him. By his third and final year, Erling Haaland was gone, replaced by Sebastian Haller, and players like Karim Adeyemi and Daniel Malen were occupying the wide attacking roles, with Bellingham either pushed forward into more of a no-da 10 role, or alongside defensively minded holding players like Emre Can or Salih Özcan. Bellingham was continuously forging new relationships on the pitch and adapting to the traits of new teammates. Because Dortmund's midfield was often in flux, Bellingham often also needed to be a more generalized player, partly because he was young and prone to lapses in positional discipline and a tendency to try to do too much. But because Dortmund were no longer the system-led side they had been under Jurgen Klopp and Thomas Tuchel too, and depended on inspiration from their individual players, Bellingham had a propensity to travel and have an impact on the game from a variety of angles, since he was frequently a favorable influence wherever he played. It demonstrated his range, but it lessened his impact in any one place. Instability in management was making the situation worse. Lucien Favre signed Bellingham as a player. December 2020 saw his dismissal, and Edin Terzic took over as interim leader. After that, Marco Rose was brought on for the upcoming season, although he was only in place for a year until Terzic was brought back, this time as a permanent appointment. Bellingham wasn't always the player he is now, but performance data shows that particular evolution. During those 3 years in the Bundesliga, Bellingham's environment was constantly changing, which made it difficult for him to either become a well-defined player or develop into a single role. Actually, it appears that his data from those seasons characterizes 3 distinct players. Bellingham's contribution over his 3 years in the Bundesliga is displayed in these 3 charts from fbref.com in comparison to other midfielders. What's particularly intriguing is how his defensive play varies and how his spheres of impact shift. Lastly, this table includes his Madrid performances and displays the final 365 days of his career. 2 obvious points first. Bellingham is now an older and wiser player. Having also been signed for over 100 million euros, he has also gained a status in the game that he didn't previously have. The deeper texture to his performance, though, is that he's occupying a more designated role as a number 10 ahead of the Real Madrid's 3-man midfield of Fede Valverde, Aurelien Tchouameni, and Eduardo Camavinga, and behind Carlo Ancelotti's 2-man attack of Joselu and Vinicius Jr. He's improved as a player On addition, he is playing on a better side and with better players. Most significantly, his talent is being concentrated in a very precise area for the first time in his career. Bellingham is not as much in his own skin as he once was. Without the ball, he has significantly less responsibility and more freedom to move ahead. Among others, some of the interesting data contrasts between this season and last include a jump in Bellingham's touches in opposition penalty box per 90 from 3.5 to 4.4, an increase in his carries into the penalty box from 0, 80, 90 to 0, 99, 90, and a big spike in his progressive passes received from 4, 65, 90, good enough for the 80th percentile among midfielders, to 5, 74, 90 in the 97th. Even though Bellingham played the most attacking role for the team during the previous season in Dortmund, his profile is now more of a target for attacking moves than it was previously. It's been an incredible ascent. However, Bellingham was a fun character not too long ago. Bellingham had tallied 10 goals from 11 La Liga games and 3 from 3 Champions League starts as of the first weekend in November 2023. He has quickly established himself as the club's defining element and is by far the top scorer in both competitions. There was no match that better represented it than the October 31st El Clasico, in which Real Madrid overcame Barcelona in the second half. The opening goal for Bellingham was scored from 30 yards out. He nudged his second one in from close quarters. In the greatest moment of his career thus far, he turned a 1-0 deficit into a 2-1 victory. However, Bellingham's sudden rise to prominence can be partly attributed to the fact that both in terms of function and effect, he appears to be a different player from the one who departed Borussia Dortmund. That's an intriguing dynamic too.